This brief video shows how to use PivotTable and PivotChart to construct frequency distribution table and plot bar chart in Excel. We illustrate a column of top luxury cars sold in US in a specific area is shown, and then these are mainly Tesla Model Y and Lexus RX, BMW X5, X3, Mercedes-Benz GLC, Audi Q5, and Acura MDX. So in this case, select any cell inside the column of interest, then press Insert in the menu. As soon as you do that, then the ribbon shows up. In the ribbon, make sure you select the pivot chart and then select pivot chart and table. As soon as you do that, then what you need to do is just make sure that you are in the dialog box that appear. Just make sure that you are selecting the right values. So make sure that the column of interest, in this case A1 to A66, is there. And then, for example, inside the existing worksheet, if you want to just place the result, let's put it there inside the existing worksheet. Select OK. The placeholder appears. Now you can see that one of the things that also show up is the pivot chart fields. So the label, the car brand sold is there. Move it into the axis, and then also move it to values. Always make sure that when you do that, always make sure that in the values, when you select, there is a menu that shows up. In that menu, just make sure that you have the value field setting properly, which is, for example, this one. So when you select the value field setting for under the values in the pivot chart field, in this case, you can see it's properly selected by default as count, because that's the number of in the frequency distribution table, we want to count how many times, for example, Tesla Model Y is showing up in this column. So select count, not the other things, but there are other functionalities there in case they're useful. So I'm going to select count. You can see that not only nicely, let me zoom in so that you can see it better. So you can see that not only nicely the frequency distribution table is showing up here, but also, let me see if I can shift this so that you're able to see it in a better. There you go. So not only nicely our frequency distribution table is showing up, and it's recognizing we have a categorical variable with 7 categories corresponding to 7 luxury cars, but also it has properly counted out of the 65 cars, 23 of them happen to be Tesla Model Y in terms of the number of times that Tesla Model Y showed up in that purchase list. And it properly shows that there are a total of 65. And then you can see the, as a result of this frequency distribution table, you can see the bar chart. There are many options. There is nicely showing the labels under the bars in the bar chart. And then you can see that exactly the number matches. As usual, like any other plot, you have the degree of freedom to adjust the plot. For example, in the elements, when you select plus, there's a plus here that shows up. Just make sure that you select the labels, and then labels show up. Now you can also adjust. For example, you can modify the title by saying bar chart of luxury cars if you want. So bar chart of luxury cars, and you can adjust other things as well if you want. So there are degrees of freedom in terms of what you can adjust. You can resize your bar chart if you want. So let me move this. Okay. So you can resize by, for example, doing it this way. So there are degrees of freedom. In the menu that shows up, when you click on the car brand sold, you can make adjustment and sort things. But aside from that, when you look at the table that is provided, interestingly, in the table, you can also move things around. For example, you can grab X5. And when you grab X5, you can move it around. And as a result, when you move it up or down in the row order changes. But correspondingly, in the bar chart that you have, the order changes as well. So there are those things you can play with them. I hope that this is helpful. Of course, another way to form the, let's say, just if your target is just bar chart, you can also use if you go to under the insert again, you can find under insert in the ribbon that shows up, you can find under the recommended chart by default a bar chart, but that only has a limited option and it only covers the bar chart for you. It doesn't give you the construction of the frequency distribution table, so that's the catch about it. I hope that this is helpful.